What's going on, guys, and welcome back to F123 for Season 3, round number 15, the penultimate round of the season, the Portuguese Grand Prix. This one will be interesting. We didn't have a great time in Portugal last season when we raced here for the first time in this game. Qualifying went pretty poorly. I think we did score points in the race, but it wasn't a particularly high scoring. I think it was like a 7th or an 8th or something. We did make up some positions, but yeah, we might have even got knocked out in Q1, or it was at least Q2. We definitely didn't make it through to Q3 last season, so let's see how we go this season. Unlike last season where we started well and finished a bit poorly, this season we seem to have started fairly poorly, and we're finishing quite a lot better, you know, 2 races in a row, 2 race wins in a row at last time out and the time before. So maybe we can do better in Portugal this time around. Of course, we're adapting some more chassis and powertrain parts for Season 4 because that is the regulation changes. Those are the regulation changes for the next season. So getting a few more of them higher value parts adapted. Looking at R&D going into this one, I don't think really anything's changed at all. Everybody seems to have plateaued now. Like I've said before, I don't know why those bottom teams and even Aston Martin, I mean Red Bull definitely aren't fully upgraded. Surely they're going to be higher than everybody else when they're fully upgraded. So I don't know what's going on there, why they're not upgrading, but hopefully next season they will upgrade again, and maybe we'll be a little bit closer. Because although like the top 5, top 6 have been really close this season, the bottom 5 have been miles off. So yeah, it would be nice to have everybody a little bit closer once again, because there is a big gap there at the moment. As we're here now in Q1, my first lap didn't go amazing, as you can see, currently sitting P16. Wasn't a great lap, but it wasn't terrible either. However, I am improving quite a lot on this lap. Oh well, only about 1/10 and a half up at the moment, but through the second half of that lap, I did improve quite a bit more. It's only P12 in Q1 for us, which wasn't as high as I was hoping. Alonso, not massively high either, but he was about 3.5 tenths quicker than us in Q1 there. But this is where it gets interesting, because we do not make it through to Q3. You're watching this lap from the very beginning because this is the full lap, because I get knocked out here in Q2. So currently sitting P11 after my first flying lap, which was about, I think, a little bit more than a 10th. I can't remember what. Did a 15.5, I think. So it was actually about 3/10 quicker than my my Q1 lap. And we do improve here. As you can see, we're already about almost 2.5 tenths up just after the first sector, really pushing the car, maybe pushing it a bit too much in a couple of places. You know, we went quite deep into that kind of hairpin corner back there. So maybe, although we did improve on our previous time, my previous time there was, I think, the opposite. I was a bit too slow into that corner. So it was better, but still not perfect. We head around this twisty section, and I will be honest, I do quite enjoy this track, although I don't seem to do particularly well on this track, at least in F123. I can't remember how I did in the previous games. Although I don't seem to do that amazing, I do quite enjoy this track. It's a fairly tricky track. I was having a few issues with braking this time around, just not quite getting the braking point exactly right. But as we cross the line, we stay 11th fastest, but it is ridiculously close. As you can see, it is a 15.2 for myself, Alonso, and Russell. So although we are out in Q2 here, we are within 1/10 of a second, pretty much within half a tenth, I think, of Alonso, our teammate. So maybe just we don't have the pace here in the car. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe we'll have better race pace, but that's us out in Q2. Means we're going to be starting from P11 on the grid for the race. So let's see how this Portuguese Grand Prix goes.
Welcome along then to Portimão, one of the busiest towns in the Algarve and a breathtaking destination that brings tourists from all around the world to the shores of southern Portugal. Today it's the backdrop for the latest round of the Formula One World Championship, and with a circuit this wide, we could be in for a lot of exciting wheel-to-wheel action today. 2.9 miles of track at Portimão feature 15 turns, 9 to the right and 6 to the left. A lot going on at this track, a lot of elevation changes that'll affect the driver's braking and acceleration. Keep an eye out for the DRS zone on the final straight. That'll be the setup for a lot of today's overtaking opportunities. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And Oscar Piastri completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Leclerc, Sainz, Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso, Verstappen, De Vries, Russell, Davies, Hamilton, Iwasa, Liam Lawson, Gasly, Albon, Joe, Sargent, Ocon, Doohan, Bottas, Magnussen, and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. And joining me again for the race today, Natalie Pinkham. What a season they've had, a well-deserved championship victory, and the pressure now is surely off with the title already in the bag.
It really is well-deserved. I won't say it's been a faultless title challenge, but certainly one that has been consistent and well-managed. Here's hoping they let off a bit of steam today and give us an exciting race.
Once again, I don't know what Crofty and Natalie are talking about there. The championship is not wrapped up yet for either drivers or constructors, but anyway, here we go. It is a pretty good start for us. It is a poor start for a lot of cars in front of us, including our teammate Fernando Alonso, as we now come down into turn one. A bit of a tricky right hand corner there. We have to take a bit of curb because otherwise we're going to clatter with some other cars, and George Russell trying to go around the outside of us there. He's had a pretty decent start as well, as we're going to fight him through these first couple of corners here. We're on the outside trying to stick it out here to stay ahead of George Russell. He's now coming under fire from Yuki Tsunoda in the second Ferrari as we now go into this corner, and it's been a great start for us from P10. Thankfully, actually Lewis Hamilton, who took a grid penalty, of all people, the main driver in this championship battle at the front. He's been leading the Drivers' Championship since round 1 in Bahrain. He took a grid penalty, started 11th, which pushed us up into the top 10. But we've already got up to P5 right at the start because there were about 4 cars ahead of us that had a poor start, and then we managed to fight off Russell to get that position as well. So P5 right at the start of this race. That is a very good start for us. It's a decent start from Alonso as well, although maybe not, because I think he started P6, so he's actually fallen a couple of positions, but he's still in this fight with us. But as you can see, the gap is already opening up to over a second between myself and Sainz, the car ahead in the Ferrari, in the Red Bull. Carlos Sainz running Red Bull this year. He's having a pretty good last few races, you know, beating Verstappen in qualifying and currently ahead of him in the race as well. As lap number 4, Fernando Alonso gets past George Russell and is moving his way up the order there after, not the best start in the world. Not terrible, but not the best start. Oscar Piastri also didn't have a particularly good start. He was on the front row with his teammate, but got overtaken down to P3, I believe, at the start, but has just overtaken Leclerc to continue a McLaren 1-2. And Leclerc's looking a little bit slow here, actually, because now Carlos Sainz is going to go around the outside of his old teammate and get up into 3rd place. That is now Sainz in the Red Bull into a podium position. He hasn't had a podium this season, hasn't had a podium for Red Bull, so he is going for that this race. As Leclerc seems to be struggling a little bit because I've now caught up to these guys. Sainz seems to be pulling away from Leclerc a little bit in 3rd, and I haven't heard anything over the radio, but Leclerc does really seem to be struggling, and to be honest, maybe it's just an issue with Ferrari, because Tsunoda behind me also seems to be falling back into the clutches of my teammate. So that's interesting. A battle between Hamilton and Verstappen. These battles never get old. This time it's Hamilton getting ahead of his former rival and up into the points. So Hamilton not had the best start this race, but is trying to keep this going and, you know, keep as big of a gap over Leclerc as he can in this championship. As now we're going to help Hamilton out because we're going to get past Leclerc into turn 1. He just seems to be really struggling at the moment, and that now puts us up into 4th place, and we're going to see if we can chase after Carlos Sainz and the 2 McLarens. Lap number 11, Hamilton still in a bit of a DRS train at the moment, but what is happening? He's going slow. This is Hamilton going slow on the main straight. His engine goes up in smoke, and that is Hamilton out of the Portuguese Grand Prix. What a turn of events. That is now back-to-back mechanical failures for the Drivers' Championship leader. That's going to put a massive dent in his championship, and Leclerc doesn't even need to finish in the points. The championship will be going down to the final race in Abu Dhabi now. There will be a showdown, at least between Hamilton and Leclerc, so that is massive for this championship. few more laps go by, not really a whole lot happening for myself. I started pulling away from Leclerc a bit, but crucially couldn't really pull in Sainz and the McLarens. They just seem to have a bit more speed than us. And despite me pushing as hard as I could, they were really pushing ahead. Now the McLaren is the quickest car on paper. Red Bull's a little bit further behind us actually. I mean, it's all very close, but Sainz was quicker than me, so he's doing a very good job in that car, considering Verstappen's a little bit of a ways behind us. As we come out of the pits, Leclerc, who pitted the lap before us, comes out behind us. He's actually fighting with Logan Sargent, who's still on the soft tyres, has not come into the pits yet, so that's helped us out a little bit there with him battling Sargent. But we're just going to have to go a little bit defensive into this next corner to make sure he doesn't get a run on us with DRS, but we do stay ahead of Charles Leclerc for the time being. But lap number 16 now, Leclerc is behind us. We're just trying to make sure that we don't lose the position here, but he is very, very close to the back of us, and we're not really closing in on Sainz. We can see him. We've maybe gained on him a little bit in the pits. Sainz came in a lap, I think 2 laps actually, after us in the pits, so he has got fresher tyres, but he might be a little bit susceptible. But Leclerc's going for a dive around the outside off that DRS zone. We're going to give him the room. We're going to go side by side with him up here, very, very tight. We just about stay on the track. We're going to see if we can hang it around the outside, but we can't. We do not have the grip to hang it around the outside there. And Leclerc is now back up ahead of us and into P4, and the checkerboard of Ferrari and TGL Motorsport continues. Lap number 17 now. We're staying behind Leclerc here, just trying to stay within DRS, because if he gets away from us, away of DRS, then we could be in trouble. Tsunoda and Alonso, though, are both following behind, though. So this is becoming a bit of a four-way battle between both TGL Motorsport cars and both Ferraris, which is very exciting. As we blast down the main straight here, we've got a good run, but it's not going to be good enough. We don't even make Leclerc shake a defensive move. But the next lap around, lap 18, we are even closer this time around, and this time we're going to have to try and go for it. Use our ERS, use our DRS. He goes a little bit defensive, but we just put our car right on the inside and get back ahead of Leclerc and back up into P4. And now I've got to see if I can pull away from him, because he and his teammate could be a bit of a factor in the latter stage of this race. Speaking of his teammate, Yuki Tsunoda has actually now caught up to Leclerc, who's had a bit of a dip once again after we've overtaken him, and has now been overtaken by his teammate. So it is all changing around here in this Portuguese Grand Prix. We are now pulling away from the two Ferraris, who now have Alonso for company. Leclerc is really going to want to get past Tsunoda, though. I feel like some team order should be in play here, because Leclerc is in the championship fight, Tsunoda is not. So they really need to get Leclerc as many points as possible. Sure enough, lap number, I think 28, I believe that is, Leclerc is going to try and get back past Tsunoda again. Tsunoda's not going to give it up, though. It's definitely not team orders. They are still fighting each other. No team orders at Ferrari, but Leclerc does get back up into that critical P5 position. Further back, and Verstappen is getting his way past George Russell to get up another position. Not a whole lot of action going on in this latter part of the race, I'm going to be honest, but that is Max Verstappen up another position in the last few laps. And Leclerc just seems to have these weird phases, like he'll be slow for a few laps, then all of a sudden he'll be rapid, then he'll be slow again. He's, after being quite slow after we overtook him a few laps ago, he's now picking up the pace again and is catching back up to us fairly quickly in these last 3 or 4 laps. We've just got to see if we can stay ahead and keep this P4 position on to the final lap. And rounding the final few corners, Leclerc's actually pulled away from his teammate a little bit here and is almost within a second of us at the end of this lap. Lando Norris wins another Portuguese Grand Prix. I don't know what it is with Lando Norris, but I'm pretty sure in this game and F1 22 or any other F1 games that have Portugal, he has won every single Portuguese Grand Prix that I've done. He just loves this track. We're going to come home for P4. I think that is a pretty damn good response after a poor qualifying. We've beat Leclerc, so that's pretty big. Not quite a podium for us today, but it is driver of the day. Not the most exciting race, I'm going to be honest, not a lot of action, but we got a good result.
What a fantastic Grand Prix that was, and an excellent win for McLaren. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, confidence breeds confidence. Success breeds success. They are very much enjoying a purple patch right now.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving that they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track.
It's another big result for McLaren, another 1-2. They are closing in on Ferrari for the Constructors' Championship in Season 3 here. And we'll see what this means for the Drivers' Championship as well. But Lando Norris wins another race, and it's another Portuguese Grand Prix. Like I said, he just seems to dominate this circuit. Oscar Piastri there in a very good second place. And Carlos Sainz gets his first podium of the season and his first podium for Red Bull there in third place. He had really good pace this week, and not quite the pace of the McLarens, but was quite a bit quicker than myself. I mean, you can see it in the lap times there. And yeah, considerably better than Verstappen, his teammate, as well. So good job, Carlos Sainz, doing a very good job in this latter half of the season. Finally got that podium. Like I said, we finished P4 in the end, ahead of the two Ferraris. Crucially though, Leclerc getting ahead of Tsunoda, and this means something very interesting for the Drivers' Championship. It of course goes down to the last race with Leclerc and Hamilton. There's now only 3 points separating them, Leclerc trailing Hamilton, but Lando Norris is also in this championship fight. He's only 15 points behind Hamilton, so strictly speaking, it is a 3-way fight for the championship. Next time out in Abu Dhabi for the final race of the season, we're 30 points behind in 4th, so we unfortunately cannot win the championship, but it will be Hamilton versus Leclerc versus Norris for the championship in Abu Dhabi. That is going to be very exciting. I can't wait to see what happens there. And the Constructors' Championship's going down to the wire as well. Ferrari still just about have the lead, but McLaren are only a few points behind and could take the championship next time as well. So this could be big for McLaren, it could be big for Leclerc, it could be big for Ferrari. This is going to be an interesting final race of the season, so I can't wait to get around to that. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.